They revealed the mysterious Trinity, uncovering God's hidden nature like never before. Few knew what truly happened that night in the quiet town of Nazareth. A hush fell over the village as whispers fluttered through the air. The light of the moon cast eerie shadows, dancing across the streets, engulfing everything in its silver glow. There, in the heart of it all, a child was born. Not just any child. This was a child wrapped in prophecy, a spark of divinity nestled in humble surroundings. The timing was uncanny. It was a full moon, the kind that blazed in the sky while the stars seemed to hold their breath. A night when the heavens were alive with the promise of miracles. As the cries of the newborn pierced the silence, a collective gasp echoed among the onlookers. There were shepherds and wise men, each drawn together by the mysterious star above, each face illuminated by a mix of awe and fear. What did it mean? The tales of old spoke of a Messiah, one who would transform the world. But how? The elders muttered, eyes wide, minds racing with fear and wonder. They had waited generations for this moment, yet the weight of expectation loomed large. Could this child truly be the answer? The skies erupted in glory, and the sound of angelic voices filled the air. Was this mere man-made lore, or could it be the foundation of a new reality? But darkness loomed as shadows crept closer. The fear of Herod's fury was palpable, a storm brewing just beyond the horizon. A rift formed between disbelief and faith. A dreadful uncertainty filled the hearts of the villagers. Was it safe? Should they flee? They felt it, that tightness in their chests, the lump in their throats. A miracle was unfolding, yet danger was never far. Every gaze reflected a silent question: if this child truly was the divine promise, could they protect him from the chaos that surrounded them? Hope flickered like the fragile candle flames, yet each flicker brought an undercurrent of doubt. What would happen next? Could faith stand against the weight of the world? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As days turned into nights in Nazareth, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation and trepidation. The child, named Jesus, drew attention not only for his miraculous birth but for the presence that seemed to envelop him, filling the air with an otherworldly peace. Mary, radiant yet weary, cradled him close, feeling the weight of destiny rest upon her shoulders. The shepherds, emboldened by their angelic encounter, shared their tales with anyone willing to listen. Their voices trembled as they spoke of the heavenly light that had guided them, a beacon of hope amidst their humble existence. Do you believe? They would ask, their eyes glimmering with sincerity. Some in the village nodded, awed by the implications of their words, while others crossed their arms, skepticism writ large across their faces. How could a child born in such poverty become the savior of many? In the streets, little children began to gather, drawn inevitably to the radiant light surrounding Mary and her child. They played at the feet of the stable, weaving stories of what lay ahead. Some whispered tales of great battles, while others dreamt of peace. Yet, amid their innocent games, one could sense a deeper wisdom in their eyes, a recognition of something sacred. One evening, under the expansive sky cast in twilight hues, a figure cloaked in shadow approached the humble dwelling. It was Joseph, weary from travel, yet filled with an urgency that electrified the air. He had spent the day in restless thought, pondering the prophecies of old and how they converged within the child. Mary, he said, his voice barely above a whisper, we must speak of the dreams that haunt me. They carry a message. As Mary looked at him, the weight of knowing settled between them. Joseph shared how, in the stillness of the night, an angel had appeared to him, urging him to protect their son. We are but a whisper against a roaring tide, he said, yet we are being called to shelter the one who carries the light of nations. The night air grew heavy with unspoken fears. What threats lay beyond the bounds of Nazareth? Was an earthly king ready to extinguish their flickering hope? Questions swirled like autumn leaves, and the shadows lingered longer than the light. The villagers whispered conspiratorially, unsure of the future. Despite the unease, a message of profound mystery writhed beneath the surface. The child was not merely to fulfill the ancient prophecies, he was their very essence brought to life. How could such a miraculous being live as one of them? The people, caught in the conflict of faith and fear, found themselves wrestling with the dichotomy of wonder and disbelief. With every passing moment, they could sense the looming awakening that was both a blessing and a burden. Jesus grew, and with him, a striking transformation seemed imminent, yet still, darkness threatened to encroach. What would the world see when they looked upon this child, the miracle born amidst the mundane? As the last flicker of twilight surrendered to night, a silence hung in the air, pregnant with questions yet unanswered. Would the hope ignited by his birth overcome the fear that guarded their hearts? And if truth dwelled within this child, were they prepared to stand against the adversities it would inevitably bring? Days turned into weeks, and as the sun rose higher in the sky, illuminating the humble abode in Nazareth, a sense of quietude settled around the small family. Mary found solace in her daily chores, yet her heart fluttered often with thoughts of the cosmic significance of her son. Joseph, ever attendant, split his time between the workshop and the whispers of the village, where rumors lingered like morning mist. One late afternoon, as the sun dipped low, casting golden rays that danced through the trees, a gentle wind stirred, carrying with it the scent of impending change. Jesus, now nearing his 3rd year, wandered beyond the embrace of his mother, captivated by the antics of the nearby children. Watching him, Mary felt a swell of pride mingled with trepidation. He was not merely her son, he was the hope of the world, and she, a mere vessel in this divine tapestry. That evening, as the stars began to twinkle above, the villagers gathered for the evening meal. The air buzzed with conversations and laughter, yet an undercurrent of restiveness simmered beneath. Some spoke of a coming census, others of taxation that would burden families even further. Amid the clamor, the murmured echo of prophecies hung heavily in the air like a distant thunderstorm. It was in this moment that an elderly sage named Simeon, whose presence in the village had become a source of whispered reverence, strode forth. His visage was marked by age, yet his eyes sparkled with a kind of knowing. "Listen, people of Nazareth," he called, inviting attention as he steadied himself upon a small crate. "For decades, I have sought the promise of the Holy One. The Lord has spoken to me. Peace that is to come rests in the cradle of the child who dwells among us." The babble quieted into an expectant hush, filled with intrigue and skepticism. Mary felt the weight of each gaze on her, and in that shared silence, she sensed a flicker of hope ignite in the hearts gathered around. Could it be true that this child would embody the salvation foretold in ancient scrolls? Simeon continued, his voice a rich thread weaving through the tapestry of silence. "In him, the Spirit rests. He is destined for the rise and fall of many, a sign that will be spoken against. A sword will pierce your very soul, O Mary, as you witness the truth unveiled." His words danced with prophecy and warning alike, resonating deep within her heart. Responses rippled through the crowd, some, struck with awe, others, laden with dread, crossing their arms in disbelief. One man barked a laugh, "Salvation? From a child born in a stable? You jest, old man." Others followed suit, laughter mixed with an edge of defiance. But Simeon stood firm, unyielding to their mocking. "Behold," he declared, "you may not see it now, but his existence will stir the hearts of many. He will be the link to a Father you do not fully comprehend. Search deep, and you will uncover a mystery beyond your understanding, a God who is 3 yet 1, a trinity of purpose entwined in love." As the crowd pondered his words, Mary felt a familiar warmth rise within her. Memories of the angel's proclamation enveloped her like a cloak. The weight of Simeon's revelation echoed beside her motherhood, revealing not only the majesty of the child but the profound complexity and beauty of the God they served, a singular deity cloaked in the essence of relationship. Hours passed as the villagers dispersed, their discussions swirling and mixing, generating a dichotomy of doubt and belief. Mary and Joseph remained contemplating Simeon's declaration, the air thick with unformed questions. What did it truly mean for Jesus to embody the divine presence of the Father, the Spirit, and in flesh, amongst them, as the moon rose high, casting silvery light upon the delicate features of the sleeping child? Mary knelt beside him and whispered, "What weight shall you carry, my son? Will they be prepared to see the divine in you?" In the silence that followed, one burning question lingered in her heart: how could such profound love and mystery stir amid the ordinary lives they led? And as they shared in this earthly existence, would they find the courage and faith to embrace the unfolding journey before them? As dawn broke over Nazareth, Maria awoke with a sense of anticipation that wrapped around her heart like a gentle breath. The air was still cool, the promise of a new day shimmering on the horizon. Jesus slept soundly, his small form encased in innocence, while Joseph was already at work in his workshop, chiseling away at timber that transformed into artistry. This morning, however, felt different. There was a stirring within her, a restlessness that beckoned her to seek understanding beyond the walls of her home. After preparing breakfast, she sought the soft, whispering winds to guide her footsteps to the edge of the village, to a small grove that had long been her sanctuary. Among the trees, Maria found a seat, her heart asking questions that felt both ordinary and monumental. She closed her eyes, allowing the sounds of rustling leaves to fill her mind, hoping for clarity amid the heavy truths she had encountered. In her solitude, the memories of Simeon's words reverberated within her, "A sword will pierce your very soul." What could this mean for her, for Jesus? These verses brushed against the fabric of her reality, mingling with her love and fear for the child entrusted to her care. As she reflected, a voice broke through the stillness. It was a familiar sound, the laughter of children echoing in the distance. Maria opened her eyes to see a few village children playing as the sun climbed higher. Their joy was infectious, a reminder of innocence untainted by the complexities that surrounded her. For a brief moment, she felt an urge to rush to him, to shield him from the world's harshness. But then, a deeper understanding began to unfold. She could not hide him away, for the purpose that lay upon his shoulders was born from the very essence of their existence. Love intertwined with pain, joy blended with sorrow, these were the ingredients of a miraculous life that she could not shield her son from. As she sat under the tree, the words of the angels and the prophecies intertwined. "You will conceive and bear a son," echoed through her mind, bringing a sense of warmth yet mingled with a weight of responsibility. Could she, in her simplicity, bear witness to this unfolding miracle? Each moment with Jesus was a step into a mystery too great to fully comprehend, yet she endeavored to lean into it. Just then, a rustle among the bushes startled her. A figure emerged. It was Simeon once again, but this time he approached not with the authority of prophecy, but with a spirit of understanding that soothed her anxious heart. "Maria," he greeted, his voice like the gentle reverberation of a distant bell, "I sensed you needed a friend. What makes you say so?" She replied, the vulnerability in her voice betraying her efforts to maintain composure. "The weight of a mother's heart is a heavy one, and wisdom knows how to observe," he spoke quietly. "You have walked a path lined with wonder and fear alike. To carry the promise of God is no small burden. Yet, it is in embracing this duality that you will find strength." Simeon sat beside her, and together they both observed the laughter of the children. "You see," he continued, "the truth of the Trinity does not simply reside in doctrine, it breathes in the life of relationships. The joy displayed in innocence reflects the Father's love, while every act of sacrifice mirrors the Son's purpose and every whisper of the Spirit stirs hope. What does it mean for me, dear Simeon?" Maria asked, her voice thick with emotion. "How does one build faith in the face of uncertainty and conflict?" Simeon paused, contemplating her question. "Faith is not always grand, dear one. Sometimes it is the quiet acceptance of the unknown, the willingness to walk forward, even when the path diverges. You cannot know today all that tomorrow holds for you or your child, but trusting the goodness of God will illuminate each step." Suddenly, a gust of wind rustled the leaves overhead, as if to amplify his words. In that moment of connection, a flicker of hope surged within the depths of Maria's heart. She realized that the spirit of the Trinity was not merely a concept to be understood but a reality to be lived. As they sat in contemplative silence, One inquiry hung palpably in the air and deepened the mystery: could it be that embracing the uncertainties of this sacred journey would lead them closer to the divine purpose destined for this child? Would they grasp the grace unveiled in their struggles when they surrendered to the unpredictable path ahead? Maria left the grove with a new lightness in her heart, yet the profound mystery of her son's destiny lingered around her like the fragrance of blooming flowers. The exchange with Simeon resonated within her, carving a space where fear had once dominated, allowing room for a tentative hope to flourish. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing day, Maria found herself pondering more deeply the significance of prayer. It became her daily balm, a moment of sacred stillness where she could voice her fears and hopes to God. Although it was often quiet and sometimes filled with confusion, she stayed attentive, eyes on the horizon, ready for whispers of divine guidance. During one such prayer, as the sun dipped below the hills, the sky unfolded in vibrant hues, sparking her imagination. What will he become? She wondered aloud, the winds carrying her musings. What purpose does God have for him that lies beyond my earthly understanding? That night, sleep eluded her. Images of the village played through her mind, of fathers teaching their sons, mothers gathering water, a community built on the shared threads of life. She thought of poverty, of dreams unfulfilled, and the promise of a greater hope shining through the cracks in their reality. Her thoughts turned to Joseph, who had been working tirelessly, building a small structure that would serve as a gathering place for those seeking wisdom and comfort. She admired his steadfast hands that shaped each piece of wood with care and intention, but the weight of uncertainty hung over both of them like a looming shadow. "Joseph," she called softly one evening, watching as he finished his work, "what do you envision for Jesus?" He paused, contemplating her question. "A teacher, perhaps, or something more," he replied thoughtfully. "Every child is born into a story that transcends their own life. With the right guidance and strength, he could illuminate even the darkest corners, revealing truths long forgotten." Maria smiled at his insight but wondered how two simple parents could guide a child destined for greatness. The pictures in her mind often contrasted sharply with the reality of their humble life. "We are only ordinary people," she said softly. "How can we prepare him for the extraordinary?" Joseph placed a calloused hand over hers. "It is not our strength that prepares him but our willingness to love and to nurture him in faith. Our prayers, our daily actions, they are shaping his understanding of the world, just as we shape these walls together." That night, as Maria lay restless in bed, the moonlight spilled through the window, bathing the room in silver. She listened to the symphony of the night, the subtle creaking of the house, the distant whisper of the wind, and the gentle breath of Jesus as he slept. In that space, a thought struck her, a fleeting realization of unity. If love is the thread that weaves through their family, could it not also bind them to the divine? Days turned to months, and the village ebbed and flowed around them. Maria noticed subtle changes in Jesus, how he would engage with those around him, sometimes laughing heartily, other times offering quiet comfort to a neighbor in distress. An undeniable light emanated from him, yet it was often interrupted by sharp moments of intensity. One afternoon, as Mary watched him play with children, a voice echoed from the shadows behind her, breaking through her introspection. It was Simeon again, appearing almost as if conjured by her thoughts. "Do you see what he brings to those around him?" he asked, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "Your child carries within him the Trinity's essence, a union of joy, sorrow, and peace." That I end those words, Maria felt a stirring, a tug toward that deeper truth Simeon always spoke of. "How do we prepare ourselves for the weight he will bear?" she inquired earnestly. Simeon nodded, his gaze steady and understanding. "You live in the present, Maria. Embrace the moments of joy, the challenges, the laughter, and the tears. Each experience will forge a path for him, connecting his divine purpose with the world that awaits. As they spoke, it became clearer to Maria that the nurturing she intended for Jesus would also serve as her own spiritual maturing. The relentless worries she harbored transformed into questions, forging her faith anew. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the ground, another question hovered in the twilight, deepening the sense of mystery. How could a child trained in humility become a guide to all, teaching both the greatest and the least? Would they both learn to embrace the beautiful, if perplexing, interplay of life's burdens and blessings? Time meandered forward, and the seasons shifted as they do, like the ebb and flow of the tides. The village of Nazareth began to change, the days thickening with the weight of dialogue and expectation. Maria balanced her routine with a growing sense of wonder, filling her heart with both trepidation and reverence. It became a pattern in her life, to seek veiled truths nestled within each daily encounter point. One evening, as the golden sun retreated beyond the horizon, she ventured to the well, her thoughts lingering over the whispered tales of her neighbors. The women gathered in murmured conversation, voices filled with news of famine in another land, of visions that stirred hearts, and of miraculous happenings woven in the lives of those they knew. As she fetched water, Maria listened, intrigued yet yearning for deeper understanding. "Have you heard of the strange man preaching by the river?" one woman whispered, her voice barely audible above the rustle of leaves. "They say he speaks of repentance, of a kingdom beyond our sight." Maria's heart quickened at this mention. Could it be that the prophetic voices were rising to herald a significant turning? She wondered if this man, shrouded in mystery, might be a harbinger of the changes destined for her son. Returning home, she shared this news with Joseph. The flickering candlelight cast shadows on the walls, dancing like the questions spiraling in her mind. What if there are others being prepared to receive him? What if there's a call extending beyond the borders of our village? Joseph listened carefully, his brow furrowing slightly as he considered the implications. The world is wider than we know, the plans of God often stretch into the unseen. Perhaps this is part of his design, part of the tapestry of his will for our family, he replied, stroking his beard in thought. Days passed, and the air shimmered with possibilities. Maria started to recognize that preparation didn't always have to be tangible, it could be found in her willingness to embrace uncertainty. In her heart, she felt the pulse of inspiration lead her into contemplative moments, where she contemplated the depths of faith. She began to notice the sparks of divinity surrounding her and Jesus, the gentle sway of nature, the kindness shared between neighbors, and the harmony in the laughter of children, the pulse of the Trinity alive in their midst. Then, curious events started occurring in Nazareth. Rumors of a healer were trailing through the dusty streets. He who spoke of love, forgiveness, and a new way to breathe life into their daily struggles was capturing hearts and stirring minds. Maria felt the sensation of anticipation spiral through her being. Could it be? She pondered. Is this the beginning of what God has planned? One afternoon, while tending their home, a knock on their door startled them. It was a gathering of villagers, each eager to speak, to share their experiences of this healer. Their eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and newfound hope, igniting the air with stories of transformation. Maria welcomed them in, intently listening as they spoke of miracles and profound teachings. Each tale felt as if it were chiseling away at the confines of her understanding, reshaping her perspective on divine intervention. The questions piled upon her heart. What did this mean for Jesus? What if his destiny was intertwined with the fate of the very souls gathered in their humble abode? As dusk painted the skies in deep purples and blues, Maria dared to voice her thoughts. If this man is sent by God, and if Jesus is destined for greatness, how will they come together? Will his purpose be one of change, calling forth the lost? Silence settled momentarily as the villagers contemplated her words. Finally, one elder replied, "Change always comes with a mystery, dear Maria. We must approach it with open hearts and spirits ready to embrace what lies ahead. The unseen workings of God often bridge the mundane with the miraculous." That night, as Maria lay under a blanket of stars, the realization settled in, the stories being woven. Around her were invitations to a grand adventure, one that demanded not only her faith but also her active participation. The world she thought she knew was expanding, revealing layers more profound than she could have ever imagined. In this swirling uncertainty, new questions bloomed in her mind. How intertwined are the destinies of Jesus and those who thirst for truth? And could it be that the path towards his calling is part of a more significant drawing of all hearts toward the divine? A realm where love, healing, and unity might someday crash together in revelation. As the days melted into one another, the air in Nazareth pulsed with anticipation. Conversations by the well grew richer, layered with whispers of the healer and unexplainable occurrences that unfurled like blossoms in the spring. Maria continued her rhythm of life, but now it thrummed with a heightened awareness, each moment tinged with a sense of purpose she had never known before. One morning, as sunlight stroked the earth awake, Maria found herself wandering towards the olive grove, seeking solace beneath the canopies of twisted branches. There, she closed her eyes and inhaled deeply, letting the scent of earth and leaves envelop her. She pondered the stories of the villagers, the tales of the healer whispering of redemption and a new kingdom, while her heart danced between doubt and conviction. As she sat upon a familiar rock, grit and dust crumbling under her fingers, horses of thought charged through her mind. What did it mean to embrace the mysterious workings of God? The teachings of the healer blended with her musings, tugging at her understanding of faith. She felt as if the veil between heaven and earth thinned, revealing glimpses of an eternity unfurling just beyond her reach. Is my son a part of this tapestry? She whispered to the azure sky. What will he say when the time comes for him to step forth? The tapping of feet on the hardened path pulled Maria from her reverie. She opened her eyes to find a group of men and women approaching, led by a figure whose presence felt like warmth on a cold day. It was the healer himself, or so the villagers claimed. Their faces illuminated with hope, each one drawn to him like flowers to the sun. What do you seek? He asked, his voice a calm breeze amidst the stirrings of life around him. From within the crowd, a woman stepped forward, her voice trembling. We come seeking healing for our loved ones, she said, but we seek more than that. We are hungry for a new path, one that leads us closer to the divine. The healer smiled softly, revealing a grace that felt otherworldly. Blessed are those who hunger for righteousness, for they will be filled. Maria felt the tremor of connection. This was no ordinary man. His words danced with the essence of truth, awakening something deep within her. Could it be that this gathering was not merely for the physical healing of the body but for a deeper restoration of the spirit? A reclaiming of souls that had wandered in darkness. As the healer moved among the villagers, touching lives with kindness and reverence, Maria's heartbeat echoed questions swirling like petals in the wind. What was the purpose of his miracles? What truth did he reveal about the divine, and how did her son fit into this unfolding narrative? The healer paused, his gaze sweeping over the crowd, resting finally upon Maria. In that moment, she felt seen, truly seen by someone who understood the depth of her uncertainties. Fear not, for all paths lead you to understanding. Not every answer comes at once, but every step taken with faith brings you closer to the light. With that, the healer turned away, and murmurs filled the air as villagers began to share their stories with him. Maria felt a spark ignite in her heart, igniting a longing for clarity she had not entirely grasped until now. Somehow, this man was intricately connected to her son's destiny, intricately woven into the divine purpose stirring amongst them. Days flitted by as the healer continued to inhabit Nazareth, sharing knowledge and performing miracles that stitched together hope for many. The village thrummed with energy, the air heavy with expectation and wonder. Yet, amidst this joyous fervor, Maria felt a charge of bewildering uncertainty beneath her surface. How does one reconcile a calling that beckons with joy but carries the weight of potential sorrow? Was she ready to embrace the mystery surrounding her and her son's purpose in a world draped in such complexities? And could the true essence of God be found in the very nature of his calling, where love, sacrifice, and transformation entwined, revealing a divine plan that even she could barely begin to fathom? Amidst the tranquil surroundings of Nazareth, as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the olive groves, Maria found herself drawn to the hills overlooking the village. It was a place where she often sought solitude and clarity, where the whispers of wind played like a haunting melody in her ears. She climbed higher, settling on a ledge that overlooked the bustling life below. The healer had become a cornerstone of village life, drawing followers and dissenters alike, their discussions intertwining above the murmurs of daily labor and laughter. As twilight descended, Maria gazed upon the horizon where night met day, reflecting upon the stirring within her heart. The villagers gathered around the healer like moths drawn to a flame, yet she remained apart, wrestling with the lingering shadows of doubt. Could it truly be that her son, this child of miracle, was intertwined in the divine purpose woven through the healer's very presence? How could a simple woman from Nazareth possibly embrace the enormity of her role in this grand design? Her thoughts spiraled into deeper realms of contemplation, recalling the stories passed down through generations, the tales of divine intervention and unerring faith. What did it mean to collectively seek the divine? Might they uncover more about God together than any singular encounter could reveal? The elders spoke of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit in verse, a holy trinity dancing with purpose, yet here she was, just Maria, enveloped in the thicket of her own confusion. A soft shuffling interrupted her thoughts. Turning, she glimpsed the healer ascending the hill, his presence aglow even in the fading light. He approached her, the air between them charged with sacred tension. "You wear the weight of the world upon your soul, Maria," he said, his voice warm as the dawn. "What burdens you in silence? Why do they follow you?" She sighed, her voice quivering with vulnerability. "What truth do you reveal? I watch as hope blossoms in their hearts, yet the words caught in her throat, thick with uncertainty. Yet I feel a heaviness that dims even the brightest of promises." That he smiled knowingly, an understanding that transcended her turmoil. Desire for clarity can often cloud the grace of uncertainty. In their search for me, they are yearning for connection, for the very essence of light that binds all together. But, dear Maria, it is through the complexity of their questions that their faith is formed. But what of my son? What if his path diverges from the world's expectations? Can I accept the role of a mother to one who is meant to bring forth such transformation? Her words poured out as if carrying the weight of history. The healer rested a hand upon her shoulder, an anchor in the tempest of her thoughts. Every mother harbors dreams and fears for her child. What you feel, Mary, is that you're not alone in this journey. Just as the sun gives way to the night, every shadow also carries a possibility of renewal. The sacred mystery of God lies in the very human experience of love and letting go. He paused, allowing her to absorb the depth of his words. In that shared silence, the flickering stars began to emerge, tiny beacons that sprinkled the vastness of the heavens above. You are called to nurture a light that can guide hearts, yet it is their hearts, your son's heart, that will find its own way to shine. Maria closed her eyes, the weight of the healer's presence grounding her like roots to the soil. Each breath filled her with the aroma of the night, mingling with her hopes and contemplations. Could she truly become a vessel of faith amidst the swirling chaos of her doubts? Yet as the stars twinkled above, her thoughts drifted to the people below, the movement of lives intertwined in the quest for meaning. Could the journey to knowing the divine lead them into a depth of love that encompassed all of humanity's flaws and differences? And was that sacred embrace the very essence of the mysterious Trinity that echoed through the ages, whispering to every soul seeking understanding? Before the healer departed, he posed a question that lingered in the dusk. What if, instead of seeking answers, we are meant to let the questions guide us toward our truest transformations? And with that, his silhouette melted into the night, leaving Maria amidst the shadows of her pondering heart, uncertain yet yearning for revelation. As dawn broke over Nazareth, painting the skies with hues of pink and orange, Maria awoke to an echo in her heart, a resonance of the healer's words intertwined with her own unending questions. The cool morning air filled her lungs as she ventured forth from her humble abode, the village awakening around her. In the gathering light, families began their daily routines, but Maria felt a stirring beyond the mundane. The discourse around the healer's presence lingered in her mind like the scent of wildflowers, intoxicating and luminous. She walked to the market, where the sounds of merchants haggling and children laughing danced together, enveloping her in a chorus of life, yet within her, the dialogue continued. The villagers' excitement, their renewed hope, yet was contagious, yet it provoked a deeper thought. Were they truly understanding the essence of the healer's message, or simply embracing the tangible miracle of what they could see? Gazing upon the bright, animated faces below her, Maria pondered, were they pursuing the truth, or were they merely enthralled by the spectacle of his miracles? As she passed a group gathered around an elder recounting tales of faith restored, her heart felt respite in their stories. A flicker of yearning ignited within her. She listened closely as the elder recounted the story of how the prophet Elijah asked God to save his servant's son, and how, in the midst of despair, a simple touch transformed lifelessness into life. And believe me, brethren, the elder emphasized, God remains present in the silence, as much as in the miracle. Chills ran down Maria's spine as she perceived an echo of the healer's ethereal wisdom in those words. Her thoughts spiraled again. Can silence, too, reveal divine intentions? Might it harbor revelations just as powerful as actions spoken aloud? As the sun reached its zenith, Maria felt a gentle tug, calling her toward the hills once more. There, she sought solace, a reflection of her innermost thoughts and burgeoning insight. Climbing to her favorite ledge overlooking the village, she was greeted by the same whispering winds that she had come to cherish. This time, instead of silence, it seemed filled with a certain invitation, beckoning her to listen more intently. The healer's last words lingered in the air. Questions could guide transformations. Maria found herself asking not merely for answers, but for understanding. What if the mystery they all sought transcended human comprehension? What if the unity in the sacred Trinity wasn't merely a theological concept but a lived experience defined by love and vulnerability? She closed her eyes against the rays of sun streaming through the branches and recalled moments with her son, laughter shared, shadows of doubt mingling with glimpses of divinity. Each memory transformed into a question. Could love exist within the tension of uncertainty? Could faith flourish amidst doubt? Just then, the healer's silhouette appeared at her side, unexpected yet deeply familiar. "What stirs within you now, Maria?" he asked softly, like a breeze brushing against her soul. "That I wonder, healer," she responded, "if the essence of the divine is revealed not solely in miraculous acts, but in the silence of our waiting hearts. Are we meant to embrace questions over answers, realizing that the very act of loving is itself a profound journey of faith?" His gaze pierced through the veil of her uncertainty, illuminating her heart. "What you explore, dear Maria, is the divine relational nature of the Trinity itself, a unity grounded in love, fully understanding, and yet always inviting us to delve deeper." Maria's spirit soared with the weight of fresh understanding but remained tethered by the delicate cords of her fears. What lay ahead was still bathed in uncertainty, but perhaps it was these very uncertainties that would guide the villagers and her into a deeper revelation of God's hidden nature. As the sun began to dip once more, painting the sky with fiery reds and soft purples, Maria breathed in deeply. If indeed they were to endeavor together into the heart of the divine mystery, what would it mean for their communion? Could they transform the act of questioning into an exploration of grace? And might that exploration draw them closer to the understanding of the mysterious Trinity that bound their hearts together in the first place? As twilight rolled over Nazareth, heavy with potential and unspoken fears, Maria found herself drawn beyond the familiar landscape of her village, venturing into the hills where the healer often sought solace. The air thrummed with the resonance of her questions, each swirling thought a beckoning to greater understanding. She had witnessed the ripples of transformation that the healer's presence had generated, lives touched, hope rekindled, but in the depths of her heart, a deeper inquiry festered. Could her family's destiny interlace with this realm of miracles, and how would she comprehend the wild mysteries unfolding before her very eyes? As she approached her secluded spot overlooking the village, the cool evening breeze wrapped around her like a comforting shawl. She closed her eyes, leaning into the silence that enveloped the space, allowing herself to be swept away in the stillness. A warmth then brushed against her cheek, making her heart quicken with recognition. It was as if the Creator's breath whispered through the trees, igniting the embers of her spirit. What unfolded next would forever intertwine her life with the divine narrative of salvation. Suddenly, a voice broke the quietude, familiar and soothing. "Maria," came the healer's gentle call. She turned to see him emerge from the shadows, a figure radiant with an otherworldly light that seemed to blend seamlessly with the landscape. His presence filled the space with profound peace, and a hush glided over her thoughts. "Come, sit with me. Let us ponder the layers of the mystery together." As they settled upon a shared stone, the sunset danced across the sky, painting a brilliant mosaic of colors. In that ethereal moment, Maria felt an urgency bubbling within her, a compelling need to voice the turmoil that threatened her understanding. "What do we seek, healer? Do we chase after signs, or endeavor to enter into the very heart of faith? Is my son's journey destined for greatness in the eyes of men, or is it rooted deeper, eternally entwined in your divine purpose?" The healer regarded her with a look filled with knowing, his eyes sparkled with compassion and clarity. "Ah, my dear Maria, therein lies the question that echoes through the ages. Faith often dances in the balance between certainty and uncertainty. Your son carries the weight of hope, he will awaken hearts to the transformative power of love. But first, you must understand, the path toward knowing him will lead through shadows before dawn breaks. Maria felt the words settle in her soul, igniting an understanding she had scarcely grasped. You mean that in our quest for faith, there exists both an unveiling of truth and a surrender to mystery? That our desires may lead us only so far, yet it is our hearts drawn together in love where the divine reveals itself? Precisely, the healer affirmed, his voice resonating with depth. The journey to embrace the mysterious Trinity is not to be feared but embraced. Each person's heart is a doorway to understanding the unique tapestry of creation, a beautiful dance between the Father who loves, the Son who redeems, and the Spirit who guides. Yours shall be to nurture that flame within your son, to cultivate faith through love, relationship, and presence. Moved by his words, Maria felt swelling courage. She understood that her role was not to dictate the path but to nurture the light within her child, to stand resolute amid the uncertainties. Then teach me, healer. Guide us in this journey, for I am but a simple vessel trying to comprehend the revelation of love, she implored, her heart unraveling delicately like a flower immersed in the warmth of the sun. Bring the spirit of expectation to every day, he instructed, for life thrives in vulnerability and connection. Move beyond fear toward beloved community. Offer grace where you feel exposed, stand firm in love even when doubt threatens to enter. It is in these small moments of surrender that the divine mystery unfolds. As dusk surrendered to night, the stars began to throng the canvas above, like halos of revelation. Maria felt an unshakable shift within her, an awakening coursing through her veins. The connections she had forged with the village, the love shared with her family, the community held in uncertainty, all of it mattered. They were the essence of transformative faith cradled within this delicate existence. With newfound clarity, she dared to ask, but what of the world's expectations? How will we meet the challenges awaiting him? How can ordinary lives give rise to the extraordinary? The healer smiled gently, a blend of reassurance and understanding. Extraordinary arises from the ordinary, dear Maria. It's in the everyday moments of kindness where the profound emerges. When love is cast forth into seemingly mundane tasks, the gathering of water, the sharing of laughter, it bends into something holy. Do not hesitate. Let your heart be vulnerable and your spirit serve the needs of those around you. From this, your son will anchor his identity and reveal the divine through the most unexpected of avenues. As the words washed over her, Maria's heart swelled with hope. It would be the quiet acts of compassion and dedication that would weave a thread through the community, unveiling the truth of the mysterious Trinity. In time, the quiet yearning of her heart shifted into a profound calling. She stood up, looking out towards the horizon, imbued with serenity, courage, and determination coursing through her. There were lives to be touched, souls to be nurtured. The village thrummed with a pulse of anticipation. The path to embrace the richness of faith, guided by love, was simply beginning. That very night, as she returned to her family, Maria felt the flicker of divine connection orchestrating every dialogue, every relationship, each moment waiting to inspire transformation. The revelation that echoed within her heart transcended the ordinary fabric of their lives, reminding her that every heartbeat carried the possibility of divine encounter, and she resolved, with all that she was, to be a joyous steward of that revelation. What she fostered in her family and community would extend beyond their earthly confines, a love that reflects eternity itself, dancing in the light of faith found profound in every question offered forth. In this, each day would unfold like the petals of a flower, revealing the mysterious Trinity hidden in plain sight, awaiting those who chose to embrace the journey and the glorious unfolding of love that binds them all together.